Thinking about building a private cloud for AI? Let me tell you, it's one of the biggest moves a company can make right now. This isn't just another tech project. Nope, we're talking about building your very own AI factory, exactly how you want it. So, you ready to see the blueprint? We're about to walk through all 15 modules step by step. Okay, before we really dive in, just a quick but super important heads up. What you're about to see is a high-level tour, and it's all based on a really in-depth report from Virtualization Options LLC. So think of this as your guide, not the final word. It's definitely not legal or financial advice. You'll want to talk to your own pros before making any big moves. We're hitting the highlights here, but trust me, the full report has a ton more detail. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the big why, the strategic commitment. Then we'll roll up our sleeves and lay the physical foundation. After that, we'll build out the core tech stack, get the AI workloads running, and wrap it all up with operations, security, and how to make that final decision. All right, Section 1, the strategic AI commitment. This is all about understanding the unique demands of AI and figuring out if your organization is ready. And let me be clear, this is so much more than just buying a bunch of servers. It's the foundational question you have to answer first. And this quote right here, it really nails it. Modern AI workloads are a whole different beast. Your standard everyday data center, it just wasn't built for this. We're talking about extreme demands for power, cooling, and networking. It's a completely different ballgame. You have to throw out your old assumptions right from the very beginning. So you have to understand this fundamental split. Are you training a model, which is like a marathon? It's all about high-intensity computing and crunching massive amounts of data. Or are you doing inference, which is more like a series of quick sprints, real-time, super sensitive to any delay? The answer to that question is going to shape every single choice you make down the line. Okay, on to Section 2, laying the physical foundation. We're talking power, cooling, and networking here. This is literally the bedrock of your AI infrastructure, the concrete and steel that everything else is built on. And if you want to understand the scale we're talking about, just look at that number, 100 kilowatts per rack. A normal rack uses, 5 or 10 kilowatts? This is just on another level. And it makes one thing crystal clear. If you can't get that much power to the rack, the project is dead on arrival. Period. So here are the 3 big questions you absolutely have to answer. First, power. Can you actually deliver up to 100 kilowatts per rack with full redundancy? Second, cooling. Can you handle the heat? And we're talking the heat of about 35 home furnaces packed into that same rack. It's insane. And third, networking. Is your network ready for not just the data coming in and out, but the crazy fast, low-latency chatter between the GPUs? You get any of these wrong? Well, you've just built yourself a very, very expensive heater. All right, our foundation is solid. Now it's time for Section 3, architecting the core stack. This is the engine room, the compute, memory, and storage that's going to power the whole thing. Let's talk compute. We're really talking about GPUs. And this chart says it all. Look at how the memory you need just explodes as the models get bigger. We go from 40 gigs to over 1,000. So picking the right GPU isn't just about speed. It literally defines what's even possible for you to build. And you know what? Those GPUs are always hungry for data. That's where storage comes in. And this table shows you can't have a one-size-fits-all solution. For training those huge models, you need a fire hose of data, something like a parallel file system on super-fast NVMe drives. But for inference, it's all about snappy, local access. Getting this choice right is absolutely critical. And we can't forget about system RAM. It's so easy to overlook this part, but here's a great rule of thumb. You need about 4 to 6 times more system RAM than you have GPU memory. Why? Because if you don't have enough RAM to prep the data, those super expensive GPUs are just going to sit there doing nothing. And that is a bottleneck you do not want. Okay, hardware's in place. Now what? We got to bring it to life. That brings us to Section 4, orchestrating AI workloads. This is all about the software layers like virtualization and containers that make everything actually run. And this leads to a big debate. Should you virtualize? If you go with bare metal, you squeeze out every last bit of performance. It's perfect for those huge, long-running training jobs. But GPU pass-through gets you almost the same speed, and you get to use all the virtualization tools and skills you already have. There's no single right answer here. It really depends on what you're trying to do. These days, pretty much everyone is using containers with Kubernetes. But for AI, it's not your standard setup. You need special stuff. Things like GPU worker nodes, of course, but also things like specialized storage. And the really cool part is the last one, training operators. These are smart controllers that know how to manage a train job that could run for weeks. You can't just have it crash and start over, right? These operators handle that lifecycle. So the cluster's running. We're done, right? Ha, not even close. Now comes the really hard part, operating it, securing it, and automating it all. That's what we're covering in Section 5, Mastering Operations and Security. Security is obviously a huge deal. You really need to adopt a zero-trust framework. And what's really interesting is that you're not just protecting your data anymore. You have to protect the models. These things are incredibly valuable IP, and they're a huge target for attackers. Then there's AI Ops, which is basically using AI to manage your AI. How cool is that? You start simple, just monitoring things, but the journey is all about moving up this ladder. The end goal? Level 5, a system that can predict failures and heal itself automatically. It's all about stopping problems before they can crash that million-dollar job you've got running. And of course, ML Ops. Think of this as the assembly line for your AI factory. It's the whole suite of tools you need to track your experiments, manage your models, and handle your data. Basically, it's what keeps the whole process from turning into complete chaos. Okay, so we've covered a ton of the how. Now let's get to the final piece of the puzzle, the final decision framework. This is where we tie all that tech stuff back to the business strategy. And it all comes down to this big question, public cloud or private cloud? Look, the public cloud is amazing for getting started fast and experimenting. No question. But when you have steady, high-utilization workloads and you need predictable costs and total control, that's where private cloud really shines. Honestly, for most people, the answer is going to be hybrid, using the best of both. And finally, let's be real. This is not a weekend project. Building out a private AI cloud is a journey. You have to follow a roadmap. You start with assessment, then design, then a small pilot project. After that, you slowly roll it out, and then you just keep optimizing. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So that's our tour of the 15-module blueprint. As you can see, this is a huge undertaking. It's complex, it involved pretty much every part of your business, but it's also where the future is heading. So that just leaves one final question. Is your blueprint ready?